Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have something really personal to share with you today, something that has completely changed my life, something that I was very scared of. Before lockdown, so back in February, I shared with you that I had undergone some surgery. And quite a lot of you have messaged me asking for an update on that. Now, the reason I didn't want to talk to you about it before was because I wanted to wait to really see the results. I have been struggling with my vision for years, and I know that this is something that many of you will relate to. I would say that the majority of my friends and family wear glasses or contact lenses and just don't see clearly. I can now reveal to you that I underwent laser eye surgery, but before I recommended anything to you, I wanted to make sure that it was actually going to work. And I can confirm it has completely changed my life. I knew my vision was bad, I just didn't realise how much I was missing out on before I had my vision sorted. In this video, I'm going to go through everything that I think you need to know. What my vision was like before, spoiler alert, astigmatisms in both eyes. Before that, I just want to make a couple of things clear. Firstly, I am not giving you medical advice. I am not a health professional. I am an English teacher and YouTuber. Another thing I want to make absolutely clear, I am filming this video in collaboration with the London Vision Clinic, who are the clinic that I was going to go to before there was any mention of a collaboration. I had my money set aside, ready to pay them for this treatment. The marketing department found out what I do for a living, and then the opportunity arose to make a video together. And I thought it was a fantastic opportunity to document the process and show you what laser eye surgery is really like. So let's talk about my vision before. So most of you won't know this, but before my laser eye surgery, I was meant to wear glasses pretty much full time. I noticed my vision starting to deteriorate in one eye when I was 16, and I was really scared. I thought, if I'm 16 and I've already lost it to this level, is it just going to keep on going till I'm blind? I went to the opticians and they found that I had an astigmatism in both eyes. One eye was worse than the other, but both were deteriorating. So an astigmatism is when your eye is shaped more like a rugby ball instead of a football. This means that when light enters your eye, it isn't focused at one single point, so images appear blurred or distorted, which was exactly what was happening to me. Here is a short clip of my surgeon, Professor Reinstein, explaining what was wrong with my eye.
So I'm going to go through an explanation of astigmatism and how it was corrected on your eyes. This map is the shape of the front surface of your cornea before surgery, and this is after surgery. So before surgery, you had a lot of astigmatism, and astigmatism means that the curvature in one axis is different from the curvature in the other axis. So for example, your cornea was much steeper, if you like more curved in that axis, and it was flatter in this axis. So that's how you get your rugby ball.
So I was 16, bad vision, the opticians prescribed me glasses, and I didn't wear them because I could survive without them. I wasn't seeing everything, but I could survive. I didn't like the way they looked, I didn't like the way they felt. Now, there is a common myth about laser eye surgery, and that is that you can't have it if you have an astigmatism. I am the proof that that is just not true. I had minus 2.7D in one eye. That's pretty strong. And that's one of the myths that the London Vision Clinic are trying to fight. They have never come across an astigmatism that they haven't been able to treat, and they have treated much higher than mine. Over time, my vision got much worse and worse, and it really started to scare me. I stopped enjoying going to the cinema. I couldn't see all of the slides when I was at university lectures. I eventually got new glasses, which were better, but still incredibly uncomfortable to wear. And I also tested out contact lenses, which were a nightmare. My issue is that I have dry eyes, and it just felt like the contact lenses were scratching my eyeballs all the time. Every time I blinked, they had to readjust because they were weighted with the astigmatisms. Speaking honestly, it made me feel like I was drunk because every time I blinked, I had to readjust my eyes, and it just felt like I had sore, scratchy eyes the entire time. And I went through so many different trial packs of different types of contact lenses. I really tried with them, but they just weren't a solution for me. I didn't want to be in discomfort for the rest of my life. And actually, that's another laser eye surgery myth. A lot of people say that you can't have laser eye surgery if you've got dry eyes. Again, I'm the proof. I have dry eyes, and this was taken into consideration by my doctor. When he chose the type of eye surgery that I'd have, dry eyes was in the forefront of his mind. So I don't want to go on too much about how much my life was ruined by my eyesight, but it really was. I mean, I remember going on my first holiday with Will, and I had to have prescription sunglasses in order to be able to see, obviously. And there was a delay at the opticians, and they didn't arrive in time for our holiday together, and I spent the whole holiday unable to properly enjoy the sights and the views. Another situation I can think of was when I filmed an English course, and the auto cue was so much smaller than I expected it to be, and I spent the whole course with my eyes squinting, trying to make out the words. And one last thing that was really important to me was that I wanted to walk down the aisle at our wedding without the discomfort of contact lenses in my eyes, without having to wear glasses, because I do not like the way I look in glasses. And I wanted to be able to actually see Will as I approached him. That was really important to me. That was what pushed me to start doing the research. Enough was enough, so I inquired at the London Vision Clinic in Harley Street. I had done so much research. I had read so many reviews from previous patients. When it came to my eyes and my vision, I knew I wanted the best of the best. No unnecessary risks. Now, Professor Dan Reinstein, who you met before, he was explaining my astigmatism. He is the founder of the clinic, and he was my surgeon. He's quite a big name in the industry. He is absolutely world-renowned with over 30 years of experience. His achievements are pretty remarkable. They certainly impressed me. He's dedicated his entire professional life to the field of refractive surgery and has made significant contributions, such as pioneering the Artemis Insight scanner, which came about through his discovery that ultrasound technology can be used to scan the surface of the cornea to provide the most accurate corneal measurements in the world. He founded the clinic in 2002 on Harley Street, and they have been treating patients there ever since. I'll touch on this in a second, but the procedure that I had was not the commonly known LASIK. I actually had the keyhole procedure RELEX Smile. Alongside the running of his clinic, he also has an in-house research team, and together they have published over 170 articles in peer-reviewed scientific journals. Another reason why I chose this clinic specifically is because of the many extensive tests and scans that they do. I wanted to be absolutely certain that I was an ideal candidate because I had dry eyes and an astigmatism in both eyes. The suitability consultation was 3 hours long, and it was the most thorough and extensive screening and scanning and testing of my eyes that I've ever experienced in my life and am likely to experience. I went in for an afternoon at their Harley Street clinic. A nurse carried out all of my tests, and then I met with my optometrist, who told me that I was a suitable candidate and answered all of my questions. At my next appointment, I met with Professor Reinstein, and he explained that I was a suitable candidate and that I'm most suitable for RELEX Smile keyhole surgery. As it's keyhole, it's minimally invasive, so you don't have the flap lifted as you do in LASIK surgery. This is suitable for people who have mild dry eyes, as there is less disruption of the outer layers with a smaller incision, and it's suitable for those with a higher prescription who previously thought that they couldn't have laser surgery. My surgery date was set for early February, and you're advised to stay the night in London. You return to the clinic for a checkup the following morning, so we booked a nice hotel nearby. On the first day, I had the procedure, and on the second day, I had the checkup. I am also going to insert some footage of the live surgery. So I arrived in the morning, no makeup, no wool or clothing that can release fibres, no perfume. I brought Will with me for support, and I met with my patient care coordinator who walked me through the entire day again. I then met with a nurse who gave me this, my medication bag, which contained everything I needed for my recovery. It contained everything from eye drops to a timer to remind me when to take the eye drops, painkillers if I needed them, which I didn't, and eye shields for sleeping, and tape to keep them attached. I needed to wear those for the first 7 nights after the surgery. I was then taken to a relaxation room where I was given a head, neck and shoulder massage, which was so lovely. It really relaxed me. I was feeling very nervous at this point, which was completely normal. I was about to have surgery on my eyes. Then the nurse gave me anesthetic drops in my eyes, which felt so weird. Such a strange sensation. I was taken into the operating room. I reclined on an operating chair. They put a blanket over me, a cushion under my knees, and I held a little teddy as well. And then the procedure began, and I was awake throughout the entire thing. It took around 15 minutes for both eyes. It was so quick. So Professor Reinstein had me look into a machine, and my eye was then secured there with a vacuum. Remember, I couldn't feel any of this because I had the anesthetic eye drops. I had to stare directly into a light, and the laser did its job, which was incredible. It was blurry, and whilst I couldn't feel what was going on, I could sort of make out what was going on. It's worth mentioning that a common worry is that you sneeze or you suddenly look away from the laser and it messes it all up. Professor Reinstein told me that everyone asks this question. I did too. If you sneeze or you laugh or cough or anything, the laser immediately stops and then it recalibrates. It's tracking your eye the entire time. It was really helpful that Professor Reinstein was talking me through every step of the procedure so I knew what I was seeing and hearing and feeling to a certain extent. The laser places a series of pulses within the cornea. This outlines the tissue that needs removing, and then that is taken out through that small keyhole incision. Will filmed the procedure. He was there with me. He filmed it so you can see exactly what I mean. I find this part fascinating. This is Professor Reinstein clearing away the lenticule that the laser has removed. He then repeated this on the other eye. So the surgery was really simple, but let's talk about the immediate recovery before moving on to the long-term recovery. I had to keep my eyes shut as much as possible for the following 3 hours. I also had to apply eye drops every 30 minutes, so Will was in charge of the alarm. We just took a taxi back to the hotel and I relaxed in the room for those 3 hours. Professor Reinstein gives all of his patients his personal mobile number, and whilst I didn't need to use it, he actually texted me to see if I was okay, which I really appreciated. When I was finally allowed to open my eyes again, everything was blurry, as expected, especially my phone screen. It was really, really hard to see my phone screen. Over the next few days, my vision became clearer and clearer and clearer. The morning after the surgery, I went in to see Professor Reinstein, and it was clear that everything was going exactly to plan. This was taken the following day, and you can clearly see the incision where that piece of my cornea was removed.
And so this was just this is the next morning. And you can see on this photograph, this is your left eye, your nose is over on this side, and you can see there's that little incision. So this is overnight. It's almost knitted up and almost sealed up. We're now going to look at the cross section of your cornea. And if you can see here on the cross section, you have the pocket from which the tissue was removed. That's this down here. Subtly, you can see the incision going to the surface from the pocket. This right here. I'm just going to draw next to it. Whereas, for example, if we go to the other side, which is basically this end of the cut, there's no pocket, there's no incision to the surface. So this is why there's only one little incision to the surface from which we removed the lenticule in that way.
For the next few days, I could pretty much go about my daily life, but I had to avoid contact sports, I had to wear sunglasses with UV protection, I also had to avoid dust, and I had to keep my eyes well lubricated with artificial tears, which were all in my pack. It was also during this appointment that I was signed off to drive, although I didn't have any need to. One other thing was that I wasn't allowed to wear eye makeup for 7 days, but that was absolutely fine as I had already filmed all of my videos in advance. Now let's talk about the long-term recovery, the exciting bit. It's so amazing what has been done. After the surgery and my checkup the following day, I was booked in for a series of aftercare appointments. This is completely unique to what your eyes need, but for me personally, it was at 4 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. Within 4 weeks, my vision was crystal clear. It was amazing. A global pandemic was in full swing by the time I was meant to go in for my 3-month appointment. So we did it over Zoom and it worked really well. And I have that full checkup coming shortly now that we're allowed to interact again. My recovery has actually been really emotional. I've just realised how much I missed out on when I wasn't able to see clearly. Even looking at my own face in the mirror when I'm doing my makeup, I see so much more detail. I can now use my computer really comfortably without getting really close. Before I was texting on my phone with my phone really close to my face, which is so bad, and now I can just use it like a normal person. I have also experienced no dryness. And dryness was something that I experienced before surgery. It was the reason why I couldn't wear contact lenses. When I drive at night, I can see halos and starbursts around other car lights. But this was something that I already had before the surgery, so it's not like it's made it worse. I am so excited to go on holiday and just see everything. When I'm swimming in the sea, when I've got my goggles on, I just can't wait. I'm very excited to eventually walk down the aisle and see everyone's faces and all the detail on their fascinators, if that many people are allowed to come. But most importantly, I can't wait to see Will's face. I would do this again in a heartbeat. In fact, I really want my parents to do this. I think it would really enrich their lives. I've never had such a fantastic medical experience. If you are struggling with your vision, then I really recommend that you look into it, take it slow, start to do some research. You can download the London Vision Clinic's full information pack. It's got all of the information you need and every answer to every question you may have. The link for that is in the description box. Patients travel from all over the world to visit Professor Reinstein and his team, and I can totally understand why. They are the best of the best, and I have had a fantastic experience. I am so glad that I've done it, and I wish I did it sooner. I will see you soon for another video. Mwah.